Hello, and welcome to step 6 of our complete Angular 7 user application. In this part 6, we're going to basically build the edit user component in HTML form. However, because it has a lot of fields, we're going to stop at the gender fields, and we're not going to implement the date field. You'll find out that in Angular Material, date is a little bit more complex to build, and so we're going to build that in step 7. So we're going to build a screen that looks exactly like this, which has a username, first name, last name. These are text fields, and then this is the password field that toggles. So when you first bring up the screen, you won't see the password, of course, but if you want to see it, you can click on this checkbox and then it'll show you. Then we're going to build Radiobutton group for gender, and we're going to build a update and cancel button and this title over here. So basically, the new things that we're introducing right now is Angular Material Design Checkbox, Radiobutton, date picker, check, about that. And as usual, if you like us, please subscribe to get the updates on upcoming tutorials.
So we were able to successfully build this screen, a screen that looks almost like this, with the table that sorts itself, and where you can filter things like if I say another, it's just going to come up with only those records that do that. So sorting, we also have pagination. If I select 3, I'm going to have 3 and then be able to move to the next, kind of like that. So this table is complete, and comma we got in here by let me just log out of here. So basically we log in as the hint over here says user1@gmail.com password. So it brings us to the list. So we got to this point, we were able to build this. So now what we're going to do is to build now the edit user form, which you get to if you click on this button, start editing this, then it brings you this screen like this. So we're going to build this screen right now. So let's get started. So to start with, I'm going to go to, I'm going to just restart this again and save it again, and I'm going to open this file over here. So now we're doing edit user. So as usual, I always start with a component. We're going to fix this component. So let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is, first of all, declare some variables. I'm going to declare here user. This is of type user. Okay. And I'm going to do again, put the cursor anywhere on this word, which has problems, and then you do control period. And it suggests that I'm going to pick that. So that's what I want to import. Okay. So, and then I'm going to do something called edit user form, which is a form group. Okay. And this, I'm going to put a cursor there again and do control period, and I'll select Angular forms. So we have a form called form edit user form of the type form group. I'm going to have another variable called input type, and I'll show you why this is important. I'm going to say string. This is important when we go to the password field. We'll be changing it from a text to password, different formats, and that's what we use that for. Another variable, gender of type gender, and we probably need to do this thing. I need to I need to fix that. So what I'm calling gender is just basically referential data. What I do with referential data is, okay, first we're gonna have a gender model class. So let's go to our models and fix that model. So in gender, we gonna have two variables. I'm going to say value string and then type also a string. Okay, so that's our gender. After we do the gender that way, I'm going to come over here and go to the referential data. And this is to show you how, I deal with reference data. So I can actually remove this. I'm going to say export a constant called gender. And this is going to be of type gender, okay, and it's going to be an array. So now we're going to say that, okay. I'm going to put my cursor over here and do control period, okay, and then so we go into gender, and over here we have, I'm going to say value male, different genders for reference, type male, okay, put a comma there. I'm going to do the same thing, and this needs to be type. I have a typo on the type. Okay, so this we're gonna do female and female, and this we're gonna do other. It can be another type. Okay, so that's the way that's gonna look. And so this gender here, export constant gender of the type, okay, gender, and this, I did this wrong. This needs to be that. Okay, it needs to be an array, basically. That's what the problem is. Okay, so there we go. And so now I can come over here and say I want, a drop-down set of values called gender, and I'm going to do control period again. This is not going to be available. I'm just going to say, okay, import, let's see, gender, import gender from source app model reference data. That's where I'm going to get it from. So now that should resolve this. Oh, sorry. We need to say this. That's why. Okay, so that's done. So error message is another. And you notice I have error message on almost every screen because I need to be able to pass the errors to the screen. Type any. Kind of like in all the other screens that we have done before. So here we go. In the constructor, what I want to do is several things. I want to do private form builder. Form builder. I'm gonna enter. So that's what I want. I want another private router. Okay. And then I want another thing here called private user service of type user service. Kind of like that. I'm gonna do control period and select that. So that's what we want. And then one more thing. I'm gonna do and I'll show you what this is for. We're gonna do private current route. Okay, it's gonna be activated route. And what we're gonna do for that is that since we're getting to this form through, we click on something and it brings us there. So let's try to log in here, user1@gmail.com. Let me show you how to do that. So I need to enable a course because we're going to a different server, port 8080 and web 4200. We need to enable that course. So so now if I log in here, it's going to bring me here. So if you click on this, what happens is that we are passing the ID over here, and we are getting the ID from there. So that's why you need this activated route right here, because from the activated route, we're going to pick that ID that was passed when the user clicked on that button. That's the only reason why we do that. Okay, so on the ng-on-init method, what we're going to do is to get that ID that I told you about. So I'm going to do constant user, I'm just going to say ID is equal to this dot current route dot snapshot dot parameter map, and from the map I want to get an ID called ID, right? Kind of like that. And if you look at our list user here, basically what we're doing is that when we edit a user, we're passing that ID, and this is what we're trying to for. Okay, and then over here we're going to do another thing. This dot input type, I'm going to make it password. Okay, kind of like that. Okay, and then I'm going to do this dot edit user form. Oh no, it's equals to this dot. Let me just leave a space there. This dot form builder dot group, and you do that and you do this. So inside here we're gonna do this, and inside there we're gonna do now that thing we want to do, ID. Then we can do user ID. Oh, sorry. User ID is just gonna be 0, because this is a blank form that we're trying to create here. Username gonna be I don't know what I'm doing there. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna do something. Okay, so for these ones, actually, we can just go back to our we have in the list user. We have anything like that in the list user somewhere? No, we don't have it. So okay, it's the first time we're creating. Yeah, so the username is gonna be something like the way when we did sign in. You know, we had things like this. So I'm just gonna copy these. It's very good to reuse your code because that way you avoid errors. So username is going to be like this. So I'm going to say required. Validated is required. Minimum length is equals to that. And that has to be a valid email. Okay. Okay. So that's good. But we're not going to need this really because we're editing it, and you know, it's going to be we're going to restrict this field and make sure that it's not editable, and I'll show you how to do that. So password, yeah, we can maintain that. Now for this one, I'm going to change this maximum length to 65, and I'll show you why. When we do that 256-bit encryption on the password or cryptography, it's going to turn it into a very long string, and let me show you what I mean. So basically, user one, this is not very good. This is password, so let me just show you. So it turns into something like this. So if you look at it, it's a very long string, and that's why in this case I'm going to change it to that instead of, I'm going to change it to basically 65 instead of that. That's the reason why I did that. So let's do the same thing for these other fields. Okay, so This is not going to be username. It's just going to be first name, okay, last name, and first name is going to have required minimum length 2, because some people's names have only 2 characters. So that's why I do that. I'm going to do 2, and over here, yeah, this is okay. 20, kind of like that. So first name, last name, so minimum 20. Okay, good. And then we're going to do a token. And this token, you know, we don't need it here, but it's what we get from the backend. And I'm going to do something here called show password. Okay, and this is very tricky. What you got to do is that in the backend, in the Java class, you should make sure you have this, because if you don't do that, it's going to complain when it brings data from the database. But I'll show you that when we get to the backend Java part. So another one here is date of birth, okay, which is going to be, we're going to do it this way. We're going to do new date, and we're going to say to ISO string, okay, just to format it properly. And then next we're going to do gender, and this is going to be your type. Initially we're going to put in other. So remember, in the genders we did other, so we're going to put this as default, and something is wrong here. That's the reason why that is. Oh, okay, I need to do that, right? So that's good now. That's why I couldn't import it, so that explains that. Great. So we are in edit user component, right? So now, as you can see, the import should come in. I shouldn't have had to do that. I had an error there. So, okay, and then, well, let's try with that now. Okay. Okay, we're gonna do that, and let's just make sure that in our model here we have gender. Gender is just gonna be a string. Okay, kind of like that in our user model class. And I should have done these things over here so we don't have a problem. So first initialize a form, and then come over here and do this. The reason why I'm doing that is because I want to say if ID means if it's not null and if it's not undefined, then I'm going to do the following. I'm going to do this dot user service dot get user, and I'm going to say ID. I'm going to pass ID to get the user. Okay. Well, sorry, we don't need to do that. Now you notice that this method is not there, so we need to go create this method in the service. I'm going to create a method with this name. Okay. I'm going to do ID, which is a string. Okay. And I'm going to say I want an observable. Yeah, an observable of type user. Okay. And so in here, I'm going to say a constant URL again, which is equal to, I'm going to use this so I can use JavaScript, that kind of quote. I'm going to say $. I want to say this dot user URL. Okay. I'm going to say slash $sign ID. Okay, that's our URL. And in here, I'm going to say return this .http .get. I'll do a get, and it's getting a user. Okay, and then we do this, and we do this too. This I'm going to do just URL actually. This .get headers. Here, I want to do pipe, and in the pipe, I'm going to do a tap. I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to do this. Console log fetched one user ID. We want to do that. That's why we're doing that. ID. That's why we want to do that. And then we want to do another tab. And this time we're going to say user console log. Again, something like fetched one username, something like that. Is equal to this. I'm going to say user dot username, kind of like that. And finally, to catch the error, we're going to do catch error. And catch error, we're going to do this dot handle error. And before we do that, we need to pass something like this. We're passing in a user there, and we're going to say just something like this. Get user. Even error occurs, we're just going to do that. So that's it. That's the method for getting a user. So let's go back in here. Now we have that. So we're going to do, and when we subscribe, what we're going to do is going to say user. We're going to say that. And we need, over here, we need that. We're going to say if user, what I want you to do is this dot edit user form dot set value user. Okay, so what we're doing is that this form right here, we're just getting whatever is in the back end, and then we are casting it into this object over here, this form basically. So the user object or the user model from the database is going to be cast into this. Sometimes you have issues with this because if you don't have these variables correctly lined up with the backend, then you will have to fix that. Okay, so that's done. And then when you do this, what you want to do also is to say this dot edit user form dot controls and we're gonna do a control called date of birth. I'm gonna do set value. Okay, and I'm gonna say new date, and that date is gonna take user dot date of birth. Okay, and then it's gonna set it to ISO string. Okay, kind of like that. That's what I want to do there. If you don't do that, the date's gonna show up on the form, but it's not gonna be correctly formatted, and it'll work. So we're gonna log in here, and then okay, so cannot find form control name create. And these are the date things that I was telling you. So this is basically a field in the database so the database is coming back with a user that has more fields than we have over here. So we have to kind of declare these fields, and I'll show you what they are. But so basically, just for now, I'm going to do this, and when we build the backend, I'm going to show you why these are necessary. So for now, we just need to put in several things like that. And then over here, I'm just going to do, we need to do the same thing now in our edit user component here. I'm just going to do this. For now, it's not going to look nice, but I'm going to do this. Watch. I'm going to do no. And then update by, I'm just going to do, this needs to be a string like that. This needs to be something like that. So now from the back, when it comes in, it'll see that those values are there. Those are some of the things you have to do, to make sure the back end is completely like the front end, especially when you're doing this cast. That's the reason why it's complaining. When you do a cast like that, your back end Java Pojo has to be exactly like your model over here. So that's the only reason why we have to do that. So now we did that. So let's move on so that error is gone. Edit user works. So we're kind of done here, except one more thing. This is edit user component, right? So when somebody finishes updating and they click on, it's going to go to something called edit user, okay? And this is going to be, let's see, let's build this. Okay, so we're going to say this dot user service dot update user, okay? Okay, and then we're going to pass it this dot edit user form of value. So we're passing it when on the front end on the HTML, we're passing it the form. So basically the form fields. We need to create this method in our service. So we go back to our user service and we're going to do this. Okay. And let's implement that method. So when we're updating user, it's going to take a user and observable user. Actually, it's going to return a Boolean, say updated or something went wrong. Okay, so that's what it's going to do. Let's do it. Return this.http dot put. We use put for updating things, and I'm gonna say it's gonna put and return a boolean. Okay, I'm gonna say this dot user URL user, and then this dot get headers, like that. Fix 3 things there. And then I'm gonna do pipe, and then in the pipe I'm gonna tap just, you could do something like this, and then say this console log. I'm gonna do one of these again. I'm gonna say updated user ID is equals to $ user.id, something like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna catch error. This dot handle error once again. Okay, and then I'm gonna do this, something like that. And there is a problem. Okay, so what's the problem here? Observable boolean is not assignable to type observable. So okay, great. That's the problem. So that solves it. So now we have our update user method. We're gonna come back here and do a subscribe now, right? And I'm just gonna do subscribe. I'm gonna say data boolean. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say if data is true, means that the update was done properly. And then I'm going to say this dot router dot navigate to I'm going to navigate to list user. Okay, up routing, I'm going to navigate to this place if that's done correctly. I'm going to navigate there. Okay, and otherwise means false and it wasn't done correctly. Router navigate to I'm going to say edit user, kind of like that. Okay, edit user. I'm going to do this, and then I'll do this. This dot edit user form dot controls, and we need to pick a control called ID and the value of that. So we're going to go back. If it doesn't work very well, we'll go back to the edit user form and basically display that ID. Okay? So that's basically what we're going to do. There's 2 other methods, short methods we need on cancel all we're gonna do, if the user cancels, they don't want to edit anymore, we're gonna do this dot router dot navigate list user again. Sorry. Okay. So we're gonna go to list user. If that doesn't. Now one last important method called hide show password. Remember we were hiding and showing the password. This is badly written, but I'm just going to do it. If this dot input type password, and we can do this better and shorter. I just hacked it. This dot input type then is equals to text. Basically, I'm saying if it's one thing, change it to the other one. If it's the other one, change it to this. Else, if this dot input is equals to text, there's a simpler way to do this, and I'm gonna figure it out and then I'll do it. This dot input type is equals to password. That's all we're doing there, and we're done. So this compiles successfully. Now we're gonna go over here to the component itself, and right now, as you can see, it's showing us this. It's just saying edit user component, which is here. So we're gonna change this. So first, I'm gonna comment out that I'm gonna do mat card, okay, and start with that. So now this is gonna be a mat card, and we're gonna copy a lot of code. Okay, so we have this like that. So let's do this. Okay, now let's go inside here, and we're gonna use three things again: mat card title. Okay, and then we're gonna have mat card content, and then we're gonna have mat card footer, kind of like that. Make sure that it works, doesn't crash. And there it is, it's still good. So now we're gonna reuse code, which we should do a lot of times. So I'm gonna go over here. First, in the title, I'm gonna do align center, and I'm gonna do this error message right here. I'm basically gonna use this actually. So title, I'm gonna say align center. Center, and then inside here I'm gonna do something like this, okay? But I don't need the authentication service one. So I need that, yeah, I'm gonna say if error message over here, okay? We have error message. I wanna do that, okay? So we're just saying show an error message if an error message exists, okay? That should compile and work properly. Second thing we're gonna do is the title. So for the title, what we're gonna do again is like we're gonna reuse components again. Let's go to the sign in HTML. So for the title, we're gonna do something like this, and we don't have, I don't think we need those other things. So So I'm gonna say edit, and over here I'm gonna do a little tricky thing. We're gonna need a divider. We don't need a hint. I'm gonna do this. Watch interpolation here, and I'm just gonna do edit user form controls first name, like that. And so I'm gonna say I'm editing this user, basically. Kind of something like that. Okay, so that's so far is good. Okay, no errors. As you can see, we were logged out because this is expired now. It was timed for 15 minutes and it's expired. We'd have to log in again. As you can see, the login screen is working. So, and you know, like if we log in here, so user1 Gmail, you can see that it comes over to this. If we click on this, see, edit another one. So because we selected another one, first name, another, last name, one. So I'm gonna go back here and we're gonna do, so we need a form group. We need a form actually, kind of like that. So I'm just gonna go here and do this. And I'm gonna call it edit user form, okay? And then what else did we do? We do a mat cat content, okay? And mat grid list, okay? So we're gonna do a mat card, We're gonna do a mat card content, and inside there we're gonna do a mat grid list. And for the columns here, we're gonna do again one column, row height, we're gonna do 390 pixels. You gotta play with these numbers to make sure you have the good thing. And then we're gonna do a mat grid tile, like that, okay? And then we're gonna do a div, right? Let's see, let's just make sure. Mat grid, that's mat grid tile. Yeah, we need this thing here. Controls container, like that. Okay, and then we get in and we start building these things. And we're basically gonna have mostly this, we're gonna have something like this, you know, which we already did. So for instance, this first one here, username, let's just bring it in the way it is. Reusing code, again, very important. You want to make sure you can reuse your code. Now this, we're gonna change it just a little bit. First of all, this is edit user form, otherwise it's gonna be complaining. Email, username, email, and I'm gonna say read only. Okay, so username, type as text, mat input, account circle. Let's see if that has a problem. Uh-oh. Cannot read property controls of undefined. Okay, great. Edit user form 25. 25. Okay, so we don't need these things here. We're just displaying it the way it is. And the reason why we do that is that the user is tied to the user name. If you change this, you're going to change everything in the database. So we don't want the user changing that. We want, when you select something, to stick with that. And what I mean by that is, like, let me show you. So if you go to the list user and you select somebody called, let's say, user. Okay, that user one, this is the username. You want it to be there and never, and the user not to be able to change. So that's why we did that. Okay. Sign in form, which we already built, so we can bring in this. Now this is going to be a little tricky, and I'll show you why that is. First name, okay. I'm gonna say this has to be, so this is going to be saying first name. Type first is text here. That, and over here I'm going to say first name. I'm going to say this is required. Okay. So that, I think, should work. Let's see. And it works. So user, we can change that. User is the first name. So let's do the same thing for the last name. So we want last name in this case. First name, last name. Made a mistake here. First name. We need to validate those. We need to validate last name. So it needs to be like that. Okay, and the password is going to be a little tricky. Let me show you why. Let's go get the password again here from here. So the password is going to be tricky because what we're going to do, lock open. We're going to change the icon a little bit, and we're going to do this thing called, first of all, mat checkbox. And in order to use that, we need to go here and do mat checkbox module. You need that, and whatever you do for the import, you have to export. So we're going to do a mat checkbox here. Form control name. That's the checkbox. And when you click on this, we want to do the following. We want to do this method here, hide show password. Okay. And I'm going to say here, show password. Here, we're going to say type is going to be input type. Instead of login from control here, this should be edit user control. Let's see. Okay, so there it is. So if you click on show password, it'll show you the password. If you click on that, it doesn't do. I'm gonna do div align is equals to left. Okay, kind of like that. And in here, I'm gonna say label gender. Okay, let's see if everything is fine. Okay, we have a label there called gender. Now we have to put in something new. Again, called. I'm going to say another div class is equals to add bottom padding. Okay, kind of like this. And this is a CSS. So I'm going to come here. This is simply padding bottom is equal to 15 pixels. Kind of like that. Okay, so add bottom padding, align left. We're going to say mat radio group. And over here, we're going to need to do, that's a component, that's a Angular Material component over here. Kind of like that. Whatever you export, you must import. So we're going to do that there so the screen doesn't crash. Form control name. Gender. Mat. Radio button. ng4. Let gender of gender value gender dot value. I forgot this. Okay, so all we're saying here is saying interpolation gender dot type. And let's see that. Okay, so there it is. So if we select that, so those are selectables. We're trying to do a little bit of consistency here so that all the screens kind of look the same. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna do the buttons. Now for the buttons, I'm gonna do a link mat raised button color is equals to 1. On click on cancel. That's what I want you to do when that happens. And we're gonna say mat icon cancel presentation. I'm gonna do that. Okay. And then one last one. I'm gonna do a button now. Mat raised button color is equals to accent disabled if is invalid. Okay, and then I'm gonna do click and now we're gonna say mat icon And I'm going to call this person pin. So that's about it. I need to shift these things to the right. I need to do here align right, kind of like that, so that it'll push these buttons to the right over here. So as you can see, that's the form that we've been trying to build.
Well, thank you for watching this part of the complete Angular 7 user application part 6, or step 6. In this step, we build a user edit component, HTML file and component. And we introduced Angular Material Design Checkbox, like this, Radiobutton for gender, of course text field, and and a password field. And we showed you how to hide the password and have the user click on the checkbox to display it. We didn't build the date of birth because of time, so we'll build the date of birth starting with the to start with in the next step 7. So as usual, if you like us, please don't forget to subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button so you can get updates on upcoming tutorials. Thank you very much, and let's move on to step 7 of our Angular 7 user application. Thank you. Bye-bye.